Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We find many misconceptions prevailing various concepts pertaining to Islamic political directives. One of these misconceptions is that it is generally held that Muslims who live in non-Muslim countries, they must unite politically in the form of a system, and this they derive from a particular verse of the Quran, and the verse of the Quran says, Inna hazihi ummatukum ummatun wahida. This verse is of Surah Anbiya, and its translation is that you are one nation. Inna hazihi ummatukum ummatun wahida. You are but one nation. This nation is one nation. So it is derived from this verse that because the Quran says that you are one nation, Muslims, wherever they are, they must live as a single nation. Now, it is very important to know that whatever a Quranic verse says must be interpreted in the light of its context. We cannot sever a verse from its context and just take it as in its own isolation. A verse must not be isolated from its context in any case. We must interpret it keeping in view the context. Now, if we take this verse and view it in its proper context, we find that it is an entirely different thing which it conveys, and it has been erroneously inferred from this verse that it directs Muslims to politically unite when they live in non-Muslim countries. I'll read out the translation of these verses of Surah Anbiya to you, and it will become very evident from this translation alone that this verse has an entirely different message to convey to us. These verses are, and remember David and Solomon when they gave judgment in the matter of the field into which the sheep of certain people had strayed by night. We did witness their judgment. To Solomon we inspired the right understanding of the matter. To each of them we gave judgment in knowledge. It was our power that made the hills and the birds celebrate our praises with David. It was we who did all these things. It was we who taught him the making of metal coats of mail, all these things for your metal coats of mail for your benefit, to guard you from each other's violence. Will you then be grateful? It was our power that made the violent wind flow tamely for Solomon to his order, to the land which he had blessed. For we do know all things, and of the devils were some who died for him and did other work besides. And it was we who guarded them. And remember Job, when he cried to his Lord, truly distress has seized me, but you are the most merciful of those that are merciful. So we listened to him, we removed the distress that was on him, and we restored his people to him, and doubled their number as a grace from ourselves, and a thing for commemoration for all who serve us. And remember Ismail, Idris, and Zulkifl, all men of constancy and patience. We admitted them to our mercy, for they were of the righteous ones. And remember Zunnun when he departed in wrath. He imagined that we would not call him to account, but he cried through the depths of darkness, there is no God but you. Glory be to you. I was indeed wrong. So we listened to him and delivered him from distress, and thus do we deliver those who have faith. And remember Zachariah when he cried to his Lord, O my Lord, leave me not without an offspring, though you are the best of inheritors. So we listened to him and we granted him Yahya. We cured his wife's barrenness for him. These were quick in emulation in good works. They used to call on us with love and reverence and humble themselves before us. And remember her who guarded her chastity. The reference is, of course, to Maryam, the mother of Jesus, the prophet. We breathed into her of our spirit, and we made her and her son a sign for all peoples. Indeed, this ummah of yours is a single ummah, and I am your Lord and cherisher. Therefore serve me and no other. But the later generations cut off the matter of unity from one another, yet they all will return to us. So it is absolutely evident from a translation of these verses that the words they say in Hazi Ummat Wahida, the Ummat Wahida referred to in this verse refers to the community of the prophets who came, and they all deliver the same message as the translation itself says. The various prophets like Idris, Zulkifl, Job, Zachariah, all of them brought the same message, and it was their followers who differed, who create dissensions in their message. So therefore it is absolutely evident that this verse has got nothing to do with Muslims uniting politically in non-Muslim lands. All this verse says that the prophets of God, they were one ummah. They were a single nation, they were a single ummah, and it was their followers who actually created differences and rifts amongst themselves. As far as the message of these prophets were concerned, it was the same, it was one and the same, it was absolute, there was no difference in that message. So therefore, it is erroneous to conclude from this verse, if it is interpreted in its context, that it directs us Muslims that if we live in non-Muslim countries, then we must politically unite. This, as I said, is an absolutely baseless conclusion if this context of the verse is kept into consideration. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين والمسلمات.